Hello! So the purpose of this video is to talk about how we can take a Vue or Vite application and then generate the entire application into a single binary with Bun so that it can be transported around and be a little bit more portable. So to start with, what I've got here is I've got a project which I've built up. I'm going to talk about how the project works, then I'm going to manually talk you through the kind of build and compile steps, and then eventually look at how we automate the entire thing using a single command. So the actual application itself is not that important. If I run the dev server, we can see it here. It's a Vue application. It's just got a home page and a list page. There's really nothing fancy going on here. I just built this to kind of test that the Vite Vue application works the way that we expect it to work. And so that's here. So this application has been set up using Vite Express. Now, Vite Express is a pretty good package. What it allows us to do is to build up a Vite application with an Express application simultaneously. So that's what we're going to look at here. So basically you have your, where are we? We have our client and our server. Both of these get generated by Vite Express. In our client, we have the Vite or Vue application that we expect. And in our server, by default, it will come in with just this kind of main dev file, or it might be called main.js by default. And so what it does is it starts an Express server, and through that Express server hosts the Vite application. We can then have a compiled mode here, where we have you see mode production set. So this is kind of the same two things. That's not doing anything. And in this compiled application, instead of taking the actual kind of main Vite program, it will take the result of a Vite build command. So let's just look at how we run this here. So if I'm looking in my package.json and I've got dev, you see we're starting this main dev script. So that's this one here, main dev. And so this is running this entire Vite and Vite Express, all with hot module reloading and all working as dev. So when I run bun run dev, that's what we end up with. We have this kind of hot module reload working server. If I instead ran start, you see that it's going to run this main prod file. So instead of main dev, which is this one running it in this development mode, the only difference here really, actually because these are not doing anything either at the moment, so the only difference really between these two files is that we have this mode production set. So let's run that now. So we can go bun run start, and you see we have this error here that the static files are not found, and that's because the static files haven't been built yet. To build them, we need to run Vite build, and now this dist folder has appeared, and this dist folder is what gets served. So now when I run bun run start, it serves it from the compiled directory, and you see we have exactly the same application here, but running from the compiled directory. Okay, great. So we now have these compiled ones, but what we want to do, our end goal, is to have a binary file. Now, thankfully, Bun does allow us to compile things to binary, but the issue is if we try to compile just this main production server as it is to a binary, it will do that, but we will still have to ship the binary alongside this distribution folder. That might not be a problem, but it might be a problem if we're trying to just kind of self-contain stuff a little bit, and maybe we don't want people poking around quite so easily in the distributed files or making tweaks, because these files, okay, they are distributed, and although they're bundled, you could still read through this if you wanted to, or make some changes. There might be some stuff that isn't obscured as much as you want, different bits of CSS, or yeah, it's not perfect. So let's try to hide this a little bit better by compiling it inside. Now to do that, we're going to use a project here called MakeVFS. So MakeVFS is a really nice package. And what it allows us to do is take an entire directory of files and basically bundle them, here we go, using a bundle, into a single JavaScript file. So we're going to take this entire dist directory and produce a bundle file from it. And so the command I have saved here, so I'll just put it into a new one to make it clearer. So it looks like this. So we use bunx, make VFS, we say this entire distribution folder, and we say the format that it gets bundled in. So I'm using string formatting here. You can use different types as well, but I found string to work best for my purpose. And then we say where we want it to bundle to. So I'm bundling it in this case as a new distributed file, client bundle VFS. So if we take this and we run it down here in the terminal, that's done. And we get this client bundle VFS file generated. I can click in here and you see essentially what it's done is it's produced like an array or an object key of the file names and then the data inside those file names. So we have here first a CSS file, and if we keep going through, actually a lot of this is CSS in this case because I've included all sorts of Vite and Vue CSS and Prime Vue and stuff. Yeah, but down here at the bottom we see the final file in here is our index.html, and then this is the content of it. And then we have a vite.svg, so this file here is also bundled. So everything gets bundled into here. Now, because everything is now bundled inside this JS file, what we're able to do on our server is have another main file, and this one is a little bit different than the rest, because what this one does is it still has our Express router, it still loads the same routes as before that we're using with Express, but it also loads in all of these static files using the static routes and then serves them. So it basically serves them here as static files. Because of this inclusion here, this means that Bun can correctly import all of this and it all gets bundled nicely into the binary. So before we actually try and compile it, we can actually just test that this works. So we can run bun, and then where are we? We're going to have to go to src server main-compile.js. There we go. Now it's running. So now we have the app running again. This time it's running from those compiled binaries. Very nice. Not compiled binary, sorry, the compiled bundle. That's how everything's imported. And then finally, what we need to do is to actually take that file and compile it. And we have the build command for that here. So we do bun build, we give it this main compile, and we tell it to compile, and we tell it to output to a file called my server. So if we take that command, run it, there we go. And we now have my server here. This is a binary file for Mac. So I can just now run my server. Perfect. And we see the server is running. So again, I can go to it and here we are. Perfect. The app working as intended. Now, that's a lot of steps to have to remember to go through all of those steps. Thankfully, we can really simplify this with a compile.sh file. So what this does is it will go through, it will automatically run the Vite build. Once that's finished, it will build the virtual file system. And after it's done that, it will build the final output server. And then we're able to run the entire thing in one go. So all we need to do is, I can just prove that this works. So if I delete my distribution file and I delete my server file, and what we'll do is we'll just make a quick change to the Vue application. So let's see, on the home page we can put something like welcome to Callum's app, and we'll do bun run dev just to check that works. Yep, that's what we want. Good. And then we will run compile.sh and it will go through all those steps, and now we can just run the my server, and here we go. Perfect. All done, all wrapped up nicely. And yeah, just to prove maybe that we can run this my server file from somewhere else, if we reveal it in Finder, here it is. If I come up to my programming, let's go somewhere else. Maybe we could put it onto, I've got somewhere that's somewhere that's clear. There we go. Okay, so I've just put it into a brand new test folder on my desktop here, and yeah, if I maybe open a terminal in this location and run this binary file, there we go, we get the same output, and we can launch, and it works. So we can prove that it's not tied to the location that it's in, it's not tied to any of the existing files, it's its own standalone thing, and it includes things like the bundled SVG that we see up here. So yeah, it's a pretty nice solution.